Here we are, number 40, Monster Motivator TV. I can't believe we are already at 40, and it couldn't be a better episode because not only the story that you're going to hear this lady share with you, but with her, the organization she has is just absolutely amazing, and I only know a little bit about it, but I know enough that got my attention. It's all about boxing. I've been a boxing fan, an MMA fan my whole life, so I am so excited. And on the other end of this, I'm really excited because the kids that she helps, that was me. The outlet that she provides, that was me. So I am so excited to introduce you to Sonia Ramos, and she will share with you her organization, yes, what she's doing, and you're gonna share with everyone where you started, okay, where you're at today, yes, and where you see yourself going. But we have a lot. You have a lot of golden nuggets here that, yes, we're gonna be able to share. Yes. So Sonia, introduce yourself and introduce your corporation.
My name is Sonia Ramos. I'm the founder of Another Better Chance, doing business as Boxing for Christ. I started this organization 4 years ago based off of a promise.
Okay.
I don't know if you want me to start from the beginning.
Well, we'll give a little overview on what it is, and then okay, we're gonna go full circle. Okay. We're gonna come back around because it's really about you're gonna be able to relate to so many people are gonna be able to relate to you because of your story, where you started and where you got to, because you're gonna and the whole thing with Monster Motivator TV is you're gonna make it believable that they can do it.
Okay. So as I was saying, I started off of a promise. My older son, David, we came from San Diego. He used to box for 7 years under Billy Moore, Archie Moore's son. Okay. When we moved to Hemet, he was about to be 18, okay, so I wanted him to continue into the program. All right. But because he was going to be 18, they said he was too old. Mm-hmm. So they didn't accept him into the program. Okay. Like typical young man, he got himself into some trouble.
Full of testosterone, right?
Trying to, follow his mother's footsteps, and he was facing 27 years in prison. Okay. At 21, I made a promise to the Lord, and I told the Lord, "You saved my son, I'll save any kid I could." Okay. Make a long story short, he got 5 years. We're doing 2.5. Good. So I opened up Boxing for Christ.
Okay, so now the real fun starts. Where did you grow up? How was your childhood, and your family, and then we're going to go from there.
I was born in LA, and okay, I was raised in La Puente. Okay. So my parents were strict. I should say my father was really strict. So when I turned 18, it's either follow his rules or, as we all...
Or get out.
Yeah,
right?
As we all think we know it all. I left. I got out.
But how was your childhood? How was that? How was the neighborhood you grew up in?
The neighborhood I grew up with, kind of a gang environment.
Yeah. Just
around
the inner city.
Yeah. And people would call it, we would call it home.
Of course.
To us, it was just natural and stuff. So my parents were strict, but when you're around, you have that little wild side, I'm not going to lie, where you want to try things because they have you so strict and so in your home that when you get a little taste of freedom, right. you want to expand.
Well, it's interesting you said that because and also because of your environment, right? Mm-hmm. We become who we hang around with, but also even kids from the suburbs, right? That had it much easier, if you will. Yes. If they have that strict and they can't go anywhere, once they go to college, it's over. It's just craziness. Yes. It's craziness. So that was your growing up. What did you take from growing up in the neighborhood? Did it create any type of foundation for you?
You know what? It actually, because I've seen my parents work all their life. Okay. I knew, we had to graduate from school. I knew we had to get a job, because as growing up Hispanics is, you got to make sure you're able to pay your bills. You're able, to have a good life. And as every typical parent, they want their kids the best for their kids. Okay. So I always had that structure of, I had to follow rules. I had to get a job, and that's kind of the way I was brought up. But at the same time, my father used to like to drink.
Mhm.
At one time we thought he was going to become an alcoholic,
Mhm.
but he found the Lord. My mother first. We used to be Catholic.
Mhm.
But when you're brought up like that, all you know is you're Catholic, you got to go to church, but you don't really know what it means, what it's all about,
Right,
because
right.
you still see them going out and partying.
Yeah,
So
there was such a disconnect.
yes,
Yes.
and as a child, you don't understand it.
Right, right.
Until my mother met the Lord,
Okay.
and we just started seeing a whole difference in her, and it was her that started getting into it, and then she started getting my father. Well, by that time, I was maybe 15, 16. I didn't want to know about the Lord. He wasn't in my plans.
You already checked out.
Yeah,
Right? You had other.
I had other plans,
That's
and,
right.
and that wasn't in my plans.
That's right.
You know, so that's where, you know, I got a job. I graduated from high school.
Okay.
But I wanted to still go out. I wanted to do what my friends were doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you know, we had that structure where you got to be home by this time.
So you had that push-pull, right?
Yes.
You had both of them on your shoulders,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So one was telling you to go this way, but because you had that real foundation, right?
Yes, yes.
That still kept you grounded.
Yes.
And kept that
Yes.
that your feet on the ground.
Yes.
So it was much harder for you to get lost versus if your parents weren't around, they let you do anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I would have been lost a long time
right,
ago.
you could be either in jail or dead.
Exactly.
Right, me too.
Exactly.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too. So now you graduate high school, then
Yes.
what?
So I graduated high school. I tell you, like, I started working and everything, but it was just something inside that I wanted my freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I said, you know, you either follow these rules or may the Lord bless you. So I said, okay, may the Lord bless me. You know, leave.
Right.
But the hardest part was, I come from a big family. My father has 13 brothers and sisters. He has 10 brothers and 3 sisters. Kind of until our age, older and stuff. So,
Are they immigrants or are they born here?
no, they were born
Okay.
here, actually in National City.
Okay.
They're, you know, half of them were
yeah.
from Old Town National
I've
City.
been down there plenty.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. So it was easy for me. One of my uncles actually gave me a ride to San Diego. That's where my grandma lived.
Okay.
Now, my grandma was my mother's mom. She had 2 sisters.
Okay.
My aunts were out of control. But that's where I wanted to live because I went from having
They wanted the
strict
freedom
rules.
too.
Yes. So I went from having strict rules to having no rules.
Wow.
To doing whatever
How'd that turn out for you?
I went wild, as you can imagine. I went wild. But at the same time, I still had my job. I still had to get a job because I still had to help out my grandma.
Mhm.
But I ended up in the worst place that, at that time, I thought I hit jackpot. to
Yeah,
be
you
honest.
thought you made it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started working at a restaurant where they would leave cocaine as tip.
Really?
Yes, it was a Mexican restaurant.
In LA or
In
San Diego?
San Diego. It was in San Diego.
Okay.
And that's where I met my
Wow.
husband. And so I'm coming at 19 years old. I'm not going to lie, looking all cute, you know, skin and everything. So now I'm coming around something that I always said I would never be around.
Okay.
You know, because I was used to, I like the gang life. I like that kind of activity.
Yeah, it's on the edge.
Yes.
Yes.
So then now I'm coming to the Mexican side where I know I'm Mexican, but I'm born in LA, you know, with this.
Yeah.
So I started seeing the drug side of it.
Mm-hmm. The fast money.
Fast money, yes. And then I started seeing how easy I could make it because communication problems. In the form, they couldn't speak English.
Oh,
Some couldn't
you were the
speak
in-between.
Spanish,
You were
correct.
the in-between.
So then
You found your niche.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
And it was easier because I was a woman.
Right.
So I learned how to make easy money.
But see, that's really the DNA of an entrepreneur, right? You figure out where the want and need is, and you fill that
Yes.
gap.
Yes.
So in essence,
Yes.
and we're not even talking about what it is, but at the end of the day, you still have that DNA in you, right?
Yes.
You just happen to be
Yes.
over there versus over here, however you want to put it. But
Yes.
yeah, it's absolutely the
So,
same.
but my problem was is being a woman, now you want control.
Mm.
And now you start seeing, wait a minute, if you do this way, and then this way, and this way, we can do it better. Because the majority I was working around men.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was easy for me to, when I got caught up, I started getting, first it was about the money. I liked easy money.
Mm-hmm. It changed your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then you start, it's no longer about the money.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the power.
So dive into that a little bit.
When I say the power,
Yeah.
in the form of, I was able to get into places other people couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I had soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
I had my brother
Mm-hmm.
that was a gang member from LA.
Mm-hmm.
I had my brother-in-law who was a gang member from San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I had nephews
Yeah.
stuff
Plenty of
that
backing.
have been deported that were in Mexico.
Okay. Oh, so you had it all
So
covered.
yes.
Yeah, you had SoCal locked
Yes.
down.
But
Yeah.
then I learned that they would do anything for money. Well, first they'll do anything for a family because
That's
you become a
that's-
family.
right. And they are family anyway,
Yes,
right?
yes,
They're
they're
blood.
all family. Yes.
Yeah.
But when you see that and then you want to help out your family and you say, well, they will do this for me, but if I pay them a little extra, they'll bring them with a bow.
It's-
You know what I'm
it's-
saying?
But it's still business, right?
Yes.
It's no matter
Yes.
what it is, it's
Yes.
still business, right?
Yes.
Because
there is like, okay, we're letting you take the lead.
right.
And everybody, because when you're brought up in the streets, your word is everything
Yeah, or nothing.
or nothing.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
It's not about how much money you have.
Right.
It's about your word.
And once that's done, you're
You're
done.
yes.
There-
You're
like
nothing.
there's no negotiation,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because you can't be trusted.
Exactly.
Right, and that's all it
Exactly,
is.
yes.
There's no contracts, there's no paperwork.
nothing.
It's
Exactly.
this.
No getting sued.
It's this.
Yes.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I was brought up with.
Okay.
Always be honest.
Mhm.
Always be straight out.
And do what you say you're gonna do when you say you're
Yes.
gonna do it.
Yes.
Right?
And
Okay.
so then it became to where I noticed it's like, wait a minute. I'm saying what I'm gonna do, but you're telling me this and it's not happening.
Mm.
So that's when the power came in, and I came, well, am I working with men or am I working with children?
Right.
You know?
Probably a lot of children.
Yeah, and it became where it's like, oh, so if I talk to them like this, I mess with their ego.
Yeah.
And so now they want to look good. They
So
want
it's
to.
manipulate.
Yes.
You're figuring out how in business,
In
right?
business.
How to not only survive but
Yes.
thrive.
Yes.
And as it's coming at you, you're going,
Yes.
wait a minute.
Yes.
If I tweak it this way.
Yes.
And one thing I want to just hit home, and a lot of people hear me say this all the time, right? But this is beautiful. It's always the same recipe, just different ingredients.
Yes.
so,
Yes.
so
Yes.
if you were building a corporation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You're still doing the same thing.
Yes.
You want to figure out where your need
Yes.
is,
Yes.
fill that gap,
Yes.
and how do I make it even better?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
But remember, at the same time, I still have my structure of
Of course. Yeah. Your
my
foundation.
family. Yeah.
Right.
So I knew I had to have a job.
Mm.
Because if my parents would ask, where's this money coming from?
Right. Right.
Or,
Right.
you know,
You had to.
I was ashamed.
Right.
I was ashamed. So it was like living two lives.
And deep and in your subconscious, you felt like it was wrong.
Yes,
Right.
I knew it was
Right.
wrong.
But-
I knew it was wrong.
But
But it was at that itch
Yes,
where I
yes.
got the money. You know, like Scarface said,
No,
you got
it's
the
the
money,
same.
you got the
Now,
power.
I'm from the East Coast, so the mob.
Yes,
Right. It's
yes,
the same
yes,
same
yes.
exact thing. When you grow up, you see the big Cadillacs, you see the big cars,
Yes.
you see the
Yes.
fancy stuff.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And when you're in the city, there's no other way out. Like
Exactly.
you don't
Yeah,
see a
you
way out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you learn how to work around it.
Yeah.
And so that was my thing. I learned, but now I come into the corporate world because I learned how to do accounting. And I started from the
Oh.
bottom. I started from a warehouse. But I think I
You're-
must have had ADD or something.
Well, you're a
because
numbers girl.
I couldn't,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I started working and I worked myself up to accounting.
Okay.
And then I started with manufacture and then I learned, well, you see,
What kind of company?
it was factory to you.
Okay,
So I started working at
you
factories.
just got that job because you knew you could
I
not,
could,
you
I
could
could start
hide,
from the bottom,
and you could
yeah,
hide
and I
what
could
you were
be-
really doing.
correct.
Okay,
But
okay.
at the same time, I can get clients. Now, come on, my mind is thinking.
Girl.
Yeah,
I
my
love it.
mind is thinking,
Right,
you know.
Right.
So, so what happened there is, but then I didn't know I was as smart as I thought I was, because then I started seeing, I was like, there's supervisors and they're having trouble adding numbers, and I can do this, and
Right.
I mean, you know, I can get
Right.
somewhere. So I started asking questions, and I started moving out. But then you start to learn how bad they need you.
Yes.
And so you start negotiating.
Your leverage. The leverage is
Yeah,
coming back on
yes.
you.
So here's my negotiation of
And
what I can
how
do.
interesting, how great is that, right? Because it was so hard, and all of us, right, to see
Yes.
the picture inside the frame.
Yes.
And you're a girl from LA,
Mhm.
right, that's not
Yeah.
supposed to make it.
No.
All of a sudden, forget the other part of your
Yeah.
life. Right now, you're in the corporate world starting to see behind that black curtain going, wait a minute, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors here.
Yes.
Because I do know a lot and I do bring a lot to the
Yes.
table. That is something that we want to hit home here on Monster Motivator TV. Never, ever, ever let anybody put a label on you that you don't agree with. That's up to you to create that label.
Yes.
So on the outside,
Mhm.
we all said, and I say we, we
Yeah.
all said,
Yeah.
Sonia isn't supposed to be here,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because of where she started,
Yes.
where
Yes.
she came from.
Yes.
But you didn't, whether you could identify it or not, right?
Yeah.
You didn't allow anybody to put that label on you.
No.
I love that.
Because,
I love that.
Because
That's
what happened is,
courageous girl.
so when I learned that, and I started working in accounting, and I started as a temp. Well, now you started paying bills.
Mhm.
So now you realize what they're getting paid to have you there.
Right.
And what they're paying
and what
you.
they're making.
So it's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what's wrong with this picture here? So then I go and I apply at Waxy Sanitary Supplies.
Okay, yeah,
The corporate
big,
office that they
big,
have
yeah,
over
yeah.
there. Okay.
That's huge.
Yes. And I figured, okay, well, they're offering more. They need me here. But if they can't give me what I want, I'm going to go over here.
Yeah, you're going to leverage.
Because I know what I'm worth now.
You're
I
gonna
know what I can
negotiate.
do. And
That-
here goes my negotiation all over
Where
there.
did that come from? Where did that come from? That knowing I mean, I knew that it
Mhm.
grew because you
Mhm.
have to, you wouldn't know that in that niche unless you saw it. But where do you think that, because that's what I consider, what I say is your foundation for everyone,
know
is your
who-
self-image. I
I've
like
seen
that.
my mother.
Okay.
My mother never gave up. Through us being bad, through my dad, drinking, through
Mhm.
just her kids, falling apart, she always had it together.
Yeah.
She always found a way. I mean, she got out, I think, more times than I did.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
picked herself up. And she showed me that it doesn't matter if you're a woman.
Oh.
If you need to do something, you go out and do it.
Well, not only that, here's what I'm going to do to highlight this, and everyone that's followed me on social media knows the baddest human being on the planet is a good woman.
Yes.
Can do it all.
Yes.
Run a family, run
Yes.
a business, go to the gym, get in shape,
Yes.
and still look for more.
Yes.
Our DNA,
Yes.
we can focus on one thing. Once that's done, then we'll think about the other.
Okay, well, that's my
so,
mother.
so, and that's you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But it's so reinforced because you saw it
Yes.
day after day after
Yes.
day after day. So what a great gift, whether she realized it or not, that she gave you
Yes.
your self-image.
Yes. Because she showed me not to fear,
Yes.
not to be scared,
Right.
and not to give up. I think the main thing
And
is
well, how about this? Is this accurate? If you are scared, which is normal,
Mhm.
right? You learn how to be courageous,
Yes.
because I believe courageous
Yes.
comes from the three-letter word core that comes
Yes.
from the heart, comes
Yes.
from the inside. So when you are scared, you still
but yes,
persevere.
yes,
So
yes.
that's what you saw in
yes.
her?
And I guess because she had taught me, because you never forget about God.
No.
You just put a little
Right.
wall there.
Maybe temporary.
Yeah. But you never forget. So even in between my journeys, I always took it out. I guess it's meant to be. I guess this is where, and I have to accept it. But then as you're going through your journey and you find out, you're like, wait a minute, now we got choices. And so I tell you, as I was going up the corporate world and I went to Waxy, found out I could get more money. That's where the greed comes in. And I said, well, I can do this. You know what? I'm going to try construction accounting because now it's more money. I got an accounting job for construction.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I cried the first week. I was like, what did I get myself into? I mean, it's good money, but what did I get myself into?
Yeah.
But when I accomplished it and I learned how to do it, it's like, wow, I can do this. It doesn't matter where I come from. It doesn't matter what people say I am. I can do this.
Yes. So that self-image just got even stronger.
Yes.
Right? It got even stronger.
But then, as it got stronger, I got sick.
Oh.
With the pituitary tumor.
Really?
Brain tumor. Yes.
Okay. How long ago?
Going on 11 years.
Okay.
I still have it. And so I started getting sick. I didn't know what was going on.
But you had symptoms.
But yeah, I had fainted at work.
Okay.
And then I started going to the doctors and they found it.
Okay.
So as they found it, I started, your mind, you start just getting depressed because now you can't work. Now you got to be on so much medication. You just got to be in and out of the hospital. And so...
Did you have to go through chemo and all that? Or?
Well, you know what? What happened was because I have the pituitary, I still produced milk, even without being pregnant.
Okay.
So I would get a lot of infections on my breast.
You couldn't get out.
Yes,
Right.
I had to have a hysterectomy done. Just all kinds of things were just happening in my body. So, well, now the strong woman that Sonia used to be started coming down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make the money I used to make before.
Now, were you still doing the...
I was still doing some, but not because I started getting sick.
You just couldn't.
And I just couldn't. And I guess this is where I just started telling God, like, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been doing it for so many years. And then what happens is you get laid off. And you go and ask for help. But because when you were doing good, you owned a house, you owned the car, now they can't help you.
Right.
So...
You're worth too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yet you have no money.
Right.
You're
right.
broke, you know?
It's the worst combination.
So then it's like, what do I do, I'm not going to sell my body, but I'm good at selling drugs. So I said, Lord, but I don't want to do it. What do I do? So I start working at a marijuana dispensary.
Okay.
And I start doing their accounting because I figured if I'm doing legal work, then I'm good.
Okay.
But I was still in that environment,
It's still that toxic.
You're in the, balance, what should I do? And I was barely starting to get to know the Lord. So I didn't know what was happening in my life. I didn't know what was going on. So once I started working in a marijuana dispensary and I started getting sick, my older son started seeing me struggle. And started physically and mentally, just because he was always used to seeing his mom with power, strong.
You were just so spent.
And I couldn't do it. And he's always been the oldest, so he's always been through the struggles with me. And I think he got desperate and he found a way to make a little bit of money. They offered him something to drive from point A to point B. And I think he took it because he used to see me do it. Yeah. And I think he probably said, my mom needs the help.
This is my way.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think this is our way of God telling this needs to stop.
It is.
Because he got caught and he was facing 27 years in prison. And that breaks a mother's heart, especially when you're used to having power. And you have no power.
You're just stripped of everything.
You can't do nothing to save your son. Nothing. And the only thing I did was just drop to my knees and I felt guilty. There was a guilt that came to me. Yeah. That saying, look where you have him. Yeah. All for him wanting to help you to see what you have done that he thought he could come and help.
And this is what you needed to actually hit
get
bottom.
Get a reality check.
Hit bottom and say, you know what? Never again.
This is done. I'm done. Right. So I made that promise. And when he got to 2.5 years, I said, I got to do something. The only thing that kept him out of trouble was boxing.
Oh, good.
USA Boxing.
Okay.
And I said, you know what, there's a beautiful, because when he was in there, he said, Mom, if I would have continued in boxing, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
He said, go find Billy Moore, which was his old trainer, and his gym is called ABC, Anybody Can.
Mm.
And he said,
is that down in San Diego?
Yes,
yeah.
It's down in San Diego.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
On 30th Market, in between 30th and 32nd.
Is it still down there?
It's still down there.
Okay.
It's still going, yes. So he said, if anybody can, Billy Moore can help you. So I go, and I said, okay, I'm going to start a gym. I had a little bit of extra money saved up. But the sad part is this was money that I had legally earned.
Right.
And God wanted me to open a gym and a church. And I was like, well, then I can't get no more purses. I got to, my
right.
mind was like, my mind was.
Again, you're being pulled.
Yeah.
You're being pulled.
It's like, wait, Sonia, but if you give your money here, now you got to go Christian. That was my thing. It was like.
But you made the deal.
Yeah. And then my thing was, it's like, because you're brought up with the image that if you believe in God, you got to be this way, you got to do this, you got to do that. And people start judging. You start feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to be judged.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like a lot of anger in me. So I was very quick to retaliate or very quick to.
On the offense.
Yes.
Because that's survival.
Yes.
That's survival. In the world you came from, the strong survive.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That wounded antelope does not make it through.
Yes.
Because the lions are waiting
yes.
to attack. That's your world.
Yes.
That's been your world
yes.
the whole time. And so I get it.
So then you get this whole like anger in you that you just you're like, I can't do it. But it's like
yes. It's that
money here. Should I give the money for the church?
So tortured.
Right. So I said, you know what? Something just felt right. So I said, I'm gonna go. I went to Billy Moore and I said, I'm gonna open a gym. First, I named it Boxing for Christ. I went to go talk to him and he said, why don't we make it an ABC number 2? I said, wow, that's good. I go back and I changed to ABC number 2. At that time, he was about to go to a retreat. So he said, when I come back, we'll print some things, here's some shirts, you can start the program. So, but by this time, I'm paying everything.
Okay.
Well, I guess he let his board know, and his board is, she's Hispanic, woman.
Right.
We don't know the valley, she's going to be using your name.
Yeah.
So they sent me a letter.
They thought it was a lot of red flags.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they sent me a letter that I was not allowed to use it. That I
Really?
could not use the name. All right. So here goes my anger again. I said, that's fine. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it without them, and I'm going to name it Boxing for Christ. Because now everything that I do, I'm going to do for the Lord. Well, everybody kept telling me, you cannot put Boxing for Christ. And I would say, why?
Why?
And they said, because nobody's going to help you because you got Christ's name on it. So now you got to understand, I come from the streets, my word is everything. So once I'm a believer and I don't care who I have to go up against. I believe in Christ, he changed my life and I'm going to do it. So I stuck to it, but in between all of that, opened up the gym, I started with 3 students. And within 2 weeks, I had like 20.
Now, who's training them? Your son?
My 2 sons.
Okay. Okay.
And so as it's growing, then I'm like, whoa. But then the rent goes up to $1,200. Now, by this time, I knew I had to open a gym, but I never thought, Sonia, how are you going to pay the bills?
Right.
All I know.
Right.
We started selling oranges door to door.
Wow.
I had 4 vehicles. I sold 3. Remember, I was in love with money.
Yeah.
So I had very beautiful things.
Yeah.
So I had very beautiful furniture and everything. I started selling that. I started selling my Gucci purses, my Coach, my Chanel. And it was so hard because I spent $1,000 to $2,000 and I'm selling it for like $75 to $100. But I had to keep my program going. I had to keep going.
that why was much bigger.
Yes.
Than the other.
Yes, and the other where I learned to let go because now what was more important was having my family together. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted my family back together.
And it's creating a different Sonia, right?
Yes.
A different Sonia that's now going to be able to handle
Yes.
this new journey.
Yes, but it's always crying now instead of
Right.
being strong. But it was a good cry.
Well, but it was still part of the process.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
And so as I was going and I had Jim, I met a pastor,
Okay.
I should say, and we kind of partnered up because he kind of had kind of the same name, but he kind of the same concept. And so we got together where I had to pay $500 in rent. I had to give half of my donations and half of any sponsors that I got. I would have to give half.
Okay.
So I'm out there, you know,
Yeah.
asking for money and stuff. Well, a $70,000 check came in for the program. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, now we can do more things and stuff. Well, the other person sent actually that check back and had it made under a different organization because now it was no longer that organization that he was working for. He put in
Oh, we switched.
to switch to his
Okay.
own nonprofit organization and bought a building there. But it wasn't feeling right to me. God was having me on another, you know, and especially because it's about the kids. It wasn't never about the money, you know. And so when that happened, I kind of started feeling, you know, this ain't for me. Like, why is this happening to me?
Okay.
And this lady tells me, wise lady said, you know, Sonia, it's okay to fail, but it's not okay to quit. God don't like quitters. And that got me in my heart where it says, I'm not a quitter.
Right.
I wasn't born a
It's
quitter.
just not in your DNA.
Yes, I can't quit. And every time I wanted to quit, it's like she would say, and I felt like, oh, like, you know, when you want to kick it, say, oh, why did you tell me that? But as my journey went, I learned to be stronger. And then as that happened, now they raised the rent on me to $1,000 for a small little thing. And I said, I can't do it. Like, Lord, if it's meant to me to keep the program, help me open a door. What do I do? I went to Powerhouse Gym in the back. We were working out in the back in the hot sun, 110 degrees weather. But we were still going to championships. We were still winning.
Was this up in Hemet?
Excuse me, in San Jacinto.
Okay.
And so we were still winning. And then what happened was that Powerhouse sold it. And so it became a new owner.
Oh.
And the owner didn't want
Didn't like
at-risk
that.
youth there. They wanted them out. So I said, oh my Lord, now what am I going to do? You know, every year it's happening. Like, what is
Different
it going?
test.
But by this time, I already had my program up and running with a lot of kids. And thank the Lord, at that time, the mayor of San Jacinto, her name is Crystal Reese, she saw my program. And she said, there is no way we're going to let this program die. This is a beautiful program. You're saving a lot of kids. You know, we'll find something.
Okay.
And we prayed. And then the city had an empty building. They used to use it for PALS. And they closed it down.
Oh, yeah, PALS.
Yeah, PALS, because the city had no more, they had to cut down on funds.
They didn't have the funds for that.
For that building, so it was an empty building.
Wow.
So then I asked, would you guys rent it to me? So they rented me
The building?
the building. That's a year. It'd be a year in August, as a matter of fact. I have over 240 students.
What?
We have earned 22 championship belts.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. The funny part is last year I won Woman of Distinction
Okay.
for State Senator Mike Morrell.
Wow.
And I didn't know what it meant.
But it doesn't matter.
Because we had never heard that before or anything. I mean, now I know what it means. We Googled it and everything. But I was so...
But you know what that really means? Forget what the definition says on the dictionary, or forget what that little plate they gave you says. You know what that means? The definition of that is she became the person to accept that. And the only way that you can become that person to accept that is to go through the journey that you went through. And before we went on, I know that there's even more to this because something just happened recently.
Yes.
So we're not even close to being done. So but you're seeing changes in these kids. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing their behavior changing, their behavior, their attitude, where now they feel they have a purpose, you know,
and a physical outlet.
Yes.
See, a physical, because I was that kid, right? I'm still that kid. I'll always be that kid. You need some of us need physical, we need to be physical on a daily basis. I am 7 days a week,
Yes.
4:30 in the morning, I have to have it. And it was almost taken away from me in a motorcycle accident, so I just
Wow.
want to hold on to that, right? So
Yes,
these
yes,
kids physically, which connects emotionally
Emotionally,
and,
yes.
and mentally.
Yes.
Okay.
And it started being beautiful because I thought I was only just reaching, the kids from the neighborhood. But then when I started getting calls from probation department,
Oh, wow.
sending the kids
Really?
from probation.
Didn't even think of that.
No.
Yeah.
Then I started getting calls from group homes
Wow.
with girls that, needed anger issues. Now we have them at the gym.
Wow.
Last week when we were at a tournament, we got a call from a battered women's group.
Yeah.
Well, now they want to learn self-defense.
Defense.
And this is something this is just a promise I had to stick.
But you took the action, and,
Yes.
and the people and the circumstances start to come in,
Yes.
right? And it becomes magical.
Yes, but at the same time, it's so weird because as they're coming in, I'm Sonia, I'm still who I am,
Yeah,
and I still have that loud voice and I
Sure.
still have that
Don't ever
attitude,
lose it.
So these kids knew that, and it's so funny because I have 25-year-olds, I have 40-year-olds, I have
Really?
just different, yeah.
Oh, so it's not just kids.
No, I started off with just youth from 7 years and up. USA Boxing, you can fight until
Yeah.
you're 80,
Oh,
90.
I know.
But then I started seeing young adults at 25, 28 coming and still being lost of what their purpose, what
Yeah.
they still had a couple of anger in them. You see them now with their families, bringing their kids in just a different way, go to work, come to the gym. And I have a young man that came from Compton. His name is Marte. He's been with us 4 years.
Okay.
And he'll tell you when he first started off, he fought a lot in the streets. So you come in cocky.
This is world.
Yes.
Yeah. The strong
thinking,
survive.
Yes,
Right.
thinking you can do this in the street.
Yeah.
I got this.
Right.
But when you go in the ring, it's a total different ballgame.
Yeah. There's rules. There's
The discipline comes in.
Yep.
So he started learning. He wanted to go pro quick.
Okay.
And we're like, you have to go through a couple fights. You got to prove yourself. At first, he didn't understand it. Now, if you were to see this young man 4 years later with his family, fighting, going, and he won belts, and continues his journey. Yes, he may struggle a little, but to see the man that he's grown into, it's amazing.
Now, do some of these guys like him, right, that do well in the tournaments, get their belts, do they come back and start to train, like help?
Yes.
So they take on that leadership role?
Yeah, and the funny part is that every kid there, we're like a family, because even one that hasn't gone and competed, and he sees a younger one there, and he's done training, he will go in there and help. We're like a big family. I tell them we're the whole United Nation.
Yeah, but it's so true.
And we all get along, and I think what helped our program was we had kids that used to get picked on.
Get bullied. Yeah.
Yes. Then we have kids that are the cool kids. Well, they have never had mixed in the real world.
Yes.
But through there, they're like family. So now if they try to pick on somebody, here comes the cool guy, and hey, that's my buddy. You leave him alone.
Right. He's from my gym.
Yeah, so we come as a family, and that's where I think the parents and the kids are feeling more comfortable. And because I came from that environment, it's like I tell them, I'm not here to judge.
Right. No.
I'm here to help.
Right.
Whatever I can help you, you let me know. I've been there. I've done that. It didn't get me nowhere, But what you're doing here it's amazing, because through that program, they can go to the Olympics. They can go pro. And yes. So that's what I love in the challenge that I see, and where I want to go, where my vision is, I want to do a boxing academy.
Okay.
With life skill classes.
Okay.
In there, because a lot of these kids, what I've noticed is there's so many things going on in their home that when they come to the gym, that's where they can, but then they go back to the same place.
It's that safety, right? That zen,
Yes.
if you will, right?
Yes. Where they can keep going, they can still
Makes a
feel
lot of-
motivated, they can still
support it.
Yes.
Yes.
That what happens, and that's what I try to tell these kids, that boxing is a lot like life. You're gonna get knocked down a lot of times, but you gotta get back up.
Yep.
You know, you may not like the decisions that are gonna come out, but it's okay. We train harder or we go harder and
Wipe
we
it
still
off
come.
and get
Yes.
back in there.
Yes. So that's what I try to teach these kids.
I mean, listen, that's the greatest gift you can give any person or any kid is that level of self-image, right? That level of inner confidence.
Yes,
And
yes.
what I see, right, what you explain, what already comes to me is the cool kids, which some of them might have been the bully, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But a bully,
Yes.
understand, a bully is so full of fear. A bully is so afraid that you're going to see really what's inside. That's why they have that peacock. And the only way to stop a bully, you can say what you want, you can make it politically correct, you can whatever. At the end of the day, you need to be able to step up and stop that bully, or else they're going to keep taking your lunch money.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's what I love
Yes.
to teach people
Yes.
through those fear barriers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So now you have you're building the self-image of the bully, and you're also building the self-image of the one that's being bullied,
yes,
right? At the
yes.
same time. I
Yes.
mean, that's because of the outlet that you're providing. See, I
Yes.
love that. Now, let's kind of jump up a little bit because I know this. Something just happened,
Yes.
right? Another
Yes.
test.
Yes.
Life. I say life puts us through boot camps.
Yes.
Because life says, you know, what are you made of, and how bad do you want it?
Yes.
So something
Yes.
just happened.
What happened was we were competing. We have a big tournament once a year at the Desert Showdown at Fantasy Spring Casino. They come from the Bahamas,
Everywhere,
from China,
right?
everywhere.
Oh, worldwide.
Yeah, they come
Oh,
from
wow.
the Bahamas, from China, New
Wow.
Mexico, Hawaii. I mean,
Wow.
we train these kids to compete. So as we're competing over there, our boxing gym is set on fire. So I don't know what was going on or what, but we come back. One of our kids had won, one of them lost. We're going to semifinals. We had a couple of them fighting in between the weeks, so we had to go back. So my gym is set on fire. They're telling us, you know, we don't know what's going on. They've got to do an investigation, but I got to head off to the tournament
Yeah.
because I still got my responsibility
They
with
need you.
these kids.
Yeah.
So I go to turn on my car, and my car don't turn on. And I said, "Oh Lord, what is going on?" The city's trying to help me turn it on. It would not turn on, and I got to be the next day at 5 in the morning over there in Indio.
Right.
So they help me tow the car. We get home, and our dog gets run over and dies. And I said, "Oh Lord, okay, Sonia, everything's good." We get in my son's car, and we drive to the competition. And as soon as we get to the competition, his car breaks down.
Wow.
And it was like the enemy is just trying to break. But
It's-
you know what? I serve a big God.
Yeah.
You know? So we get to the competition. People that follow us have seen our building on fire. We got blessed with boxing uniforms for our students when they heard our story.
So someone donated.
Yes, right there.
For
because
that
the
day.
because the title was there. They let our kids pick out uniforms. It was like, wow, what a blessing. So here comes our other little boy that has to fight, and he's coming with his father in his brand new car, and they crash his brand new car. And the dad said, "I ain't stopping." He goes back, he picks up the other car, brings the kid to the tournament, the kid wins a belt.
Wow. Wow.
We're like, wow, and you got. Then we have another kid that made it to the finals. Getting ready to compete, he was going to compete for his belt and stuff. Well, he plays the band, like the drums, and his father needed a drummer. Couldn't find any. Had to go and pick him up.
He
Could
couldn't-
not
he
find
couldn't
the.
compete?
He could not compete. If he would have weighed in the next morning,
Yeah.
his contender didn't make weight. He was overweight, so he automatically would have won a belt after fighting a tough fight.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get it. And
It just wasn't supposed to be.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
so we get back home. Oh, I get a mechanic.
Yeah.
He fixes the car. We get back home, and I tell the mechanic, "Can you look at this car because it didn't want to turn on." He gets the keys. The car turns right on. Oh my! I'm like, what is going on? It's been running. And I said, "You know what? This ain't gonna stop me." I called the city. The city let me know. You know, they're still doing some investigation, but they are amazing at how they are working with me and trying to get this up and running. So I said, "Well, can I train outside? You know, we still got competition.
Yeah.
We still got to keep going." And I started training outside. The Hammond News came and did like a little story on us. They
Yeah.
were just amazed at
Yeah.
everything that was going. So to me, it's like, I know I have a purpose.
Yeah.
I've been through the worst of the worst.
Right.
You know?
This is just
So-
a little bump.
Yeah,
All
and it's
right.
like I'm nothing but going up from here. You know?
Wow.
I'm declaring it, and I said I'm
And you're
going to get
owning
the victory, and God will get the glory.
And you're owning it. So
Yes.
let's do this before we jump off. Is there anything that I didn't touch on that you want to share?
Actually, if any of you guys out there and can just lend us a hand, I've been running this program for 4 years. See, I had to do the whole paperwork myself, and I would try to go and ask for help. They wanted $3,000 to $4,000, and it was either keep the program or go. So on my last, I just sent in my paperwork to get my federal tax exemption, and it's nothing but up from here. And if anybody can,
So what are the things you need?
Equipment.
Okay.
Equipment. Even if there's parents up there that just want to dedicate their time, we just do
Okay,
a
good.
background check and could help us. We are just growing so fast, and just for support and to just
get the word out.
And get the word out of our program.
And that's what we wanted to do here. Any other little golden nuggets you can share before we jump off about how not to quit? How to keep going.
Yes, we're gonna go in through struggles. We're gonna go into doubts, but we always gotta remember we serve a big God, and don't give up because, like they told me, God don't like quitters, and believe me, I'm not a quitter.
Right.
And I think that's what hit me more is that if I can do it, anybody can do it. From where I came from to where I am now, I am blessed, and I just feel that I didn't give up. And any mother out there that feels guilty, because I had that for a lot of years, it's okay. We have to go through this journey to be able to teach other people.
We're just human.
Yes.
We're just human.
Yes.
Now, what's going to happen is once we jump off, you're going to be able to reshare it. I'll reshare it.
Okay.
And then you can answer any of the questions that people or comments or anything like that.
Okay.
And Sonia will share how to get a hold of her.
Yes.
Right? And I will share that as well. And anything that you can do to get the word out to help this organization, because it's changing lives.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that it was not just kids. I didn't realize it was adults as well. So it's changing lives. And as you know, Monster Motivator TV, we're a live stream TV show that's going to come to you, or you come to our studio. We want to highlight entrepreneurs, business owners, nonprofits, making a difference in their community. We will do it, and we are very competitive with our pricing. It's free. So we're taking all the excuses away. If you know anybody like Sonia that has a business, has a nonprofit, just is making a difference in their community anyway, reach out, go onto our website, book a day. How simple was it? Right? Very, very easy. We're going to take all the excuses away. We'll come to you, or you come to us. Either way, we're going to keep making it happen. Make sure you keep making it happen. When you fall down, get back up, wipe yourself off, and keep moving forward. As you do that, the people and the circumstances will come into your life. And I'm going to leave with this quote because it's perfect. Sometimes all that stands between you and the ride of a lifetime is simply getting in the saddle and seeing what you're made of. So keep making it happen. Good job.